Hello, Paul.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you? Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm really very excited that we can meet together to run another project. And also, it's really very nice for me that we will again work around IATF 16949.
Yeah, no, look forward to the discussion about nonconformities.
Yes, I wanted to ask you to present the nonconformities from 2021, the top 10 major and minor nonconformities which occurred during third-party audits. But at the very beginning, when we go into detail, maybe it would be worth to remind when we classify a nonconformity major and when minor. Could you?
Because so in the IATF rules, currently at 5th edition, there is a very clear definition in IATF speak about what is a major nonconformity, which is basically a total breakdown of a system or total absence of a system, or it can be a lapse that actually gives a risk of the potential shipment of non-conforming product to the customer. So the auditors have to look at it from several different perspectives and weigh up what risk does the non-conformity pose. And obviously, if it is a complete breakdown of the system, or it can result in a shipment of non-conforming product, then the third-party auditor would qualify it as a major nonconformity. A minor nonconformity is just a single observed lapse in a process. So it's a nonconformity because they're not complying in meeting the requirements of IATF, or they're not complying with their own management system, but by inference, the risk level is very low. So those nonconformities would be quantified as minor nonconformities. So that's what we will be talking about when we talk about the top 10, what are found that give major problem and what are found that give a minor problem.
So again, we are around the risk and impact on the customer with the classification, which actually confirms that IATF is based on the risks. That's very nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Risk-based thinking, risk-based decisions. And auditors' performance is monitored. So through IATF, they monitor how many nonconformities are being raised per audit, how many of those nonconformities percentage are major, how many of those nonconformities are minor. And in office and witness audits, IATF monitor that auditors are following the rules, that they're quantifying the nonconformities based upon risk. And historically, there has been talk about soft grading. So auditors may shy away from calling a nonconformity major when really it should be. So there's a lot of monitoring of the writing of nonconformities within the IATF 16949 scheme.
Okay, so let's get into detail. Let's present top 10 major nonconformities obtained during third-party audits. Would you take this pleasure on your shoulders?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think for the listeners, the best way would be that we work through one by one and we try and understand a little bit about what against the requirement is causing organizations problems. Because the problem is when a major nonconformity is raised, it has serious consequences about the ongoing validity of an organization's certification. It triggers a decertification process, it triggers a suspension process. And if those major nonconformities are not fixed within the fixed time period, an organization can end up losing its certification. So I think it's really worth organizations looking proactively and saying, let's not wait for a major nonconformity to happen. Let's try and look at lessons learned and try and make sure that we have really good, robust systems, that we're not going to repeat any major nonconformities that have been found in the top 10. So hopefully that's what the listeners will get from this. They'll be able to analyze their own systems, assess the potential risk of them getting a major nonconformity, and taking the preventive action.
Mhm. So let's maybe reveal the first nonconformity. Let's maybe today only say a clause, which was the top one from the major nonconformities. And we will discuss this in detail in the next video. What would you say?
Oh, yeah, a little appetizer. So, yeah, maybe not surprisingly then, number one relates to nonconformity and corrective action. And it is actually an ISO 9001 requirement. It's not an additional IATF requirement, which I think really there's a lessons learned in that when you're IATF certified, you still have to meet the fundamental requirements in ISO 9001. And that shows in the top 10 that the first one is a basic ISO 9001 requirement. But we'll reveal in the next video, maybe, why that is the top of the list.
So thank you, Paul. And let's wait for the clarification, what would be expected here in this clause. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.